I think your mom's parents were
Roller
involved
derby,
in
yeah.
roller derby. Your dad's, big into surfing. Both of your siblings are.
I'm named
into
after
sports.
Shaun White, the surfer.
It was your mom that actually made the decision to put you on snowboard initially, right? Because you were just 6 years old and going crazy on skis, and she was trying to slow you down. So at age 7, I mean, just a year after you tried snowboarding for the first time, you win a competition for 12-year-olds and under. Why do you think you got it so quickly?
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I had started skateboarding a little bit earlier in the year, and my parents put me on a snowboard, and it was one of those things where they assumed that it was going to slow me down. So immediately that was a challenge to show them that, like, no, I'm not going to fall all day. I'm going to beat you down the mountain. Right. And it's just kind of that mindset and attitude I've had. I think it's just in me. But I feel like, their plan definitely backfired, but for me at that point, it gave me my outlet. I was like, this is great. This is something I want to do. And once I was standing there, I won the contest, I got a little medal. I'm like, this is great. This is amazing. I feel, this fulfillment. And that's where it really began. And they're like, okay, well, let's see if we can. I mean, I had a giant snowboard. They weren't making kids boards at that time. And that's really how the sponsorship came about, as I had my parents contact, I didn't have them, but they ended up contacting Burton Snowboards, and they were making a kids line at the time. And I just remember being the little kid standing there, like, here's the snowboard, like, keep doing well, we'll give you another one. And that's all the encouragement I needed. And so that's what really took off.
And I'm sure your parents must have been thrilled for you, but at the same time, I mean, to enable you to kind of pursue your snowboarding dream, it was something like a $20,000 a year commitment. And you came from a blue collar family. I mean, your mom was a waitress, your dad, was involved with like digging ditches for the city. So I mean, a sizable commitment they had to make. How were they able to make it work?
I just know they just made it happen. I mean, I probably shouldn't say this, but I was like 12 at the pass office forever. You know what I'm saying? Like or 8. You know what I mean? To get the little kids ticket. They just made it work. We drove up there. They ended up buying this van.
Big Mo.
Yeah, the Big Mo. It wasn't really a van, and it wasn't a motorhome. It was like the in between. And they took it down to Mexico, and they had it like reupholstered, and then we took it up to the mountains, and that was kind of like our home, away from our home. That was like my other life. I would go in this van, and we'd be together, and it really brought my family together, but that's what they were doing. And then once it got more serious and I needed to travel and be in Japan and be in these places, they just started pulling, taking loans on the house.
How would you shower?
I can't believe I'm going to tell you this. So it depended on where we were, but I remember specifically we would love to camp out in Oregon, because it's good. There's great campsites. It's in the woods. It's really fun. And I just remember that when we couldn't get access to like somebody's house or some sort of hotel scenario, there was hot water at this one rest stop, and we knew that. And so we would fill up these jugs of water, the gallons of milk, and so you'd have two of them, and you would do the one, get wet, soap up, and then do the second one. And I just remember at one point, I just thought this was the greatest thing ever, because my dad was going for his shower, and he had the second. He had the first. Gallon of water on him, all soaped up, and my brother turned the car lights on and backs up and starts honking at the rest stop, and everybody's looking over, and I'll never forget just seeing him running off into the woods soaped up, just the embarrassment. But yeah, I loved it. It was how we did things, and so I mean, those were the best times. I mean, my mom bought this little stove, and she would cook food in the van.
And then you guys upgraded as you and your siblings got older, so it wasn't the 5 of you living in a van anymore when you were on the road. You guys all shared a 1-bedroom a hotel room, right?
Yeah,
and that's where you guys cooked sometimes.
Yeah, we'd always end up in like Motel 6 or something like that, or just some hotel room, and you're only allowed to have like two people or so in those rooms. So we had the whole family of 5, and we're cooking it up, and we have the shower cap over the the fire alarms, so the smoke when it set it off, but it always went off. And so my childhood memories were us like hiding in the bathroom when the manager came by, so we didn't get kicked out of the hotel for having too many people. But it was great. I mean, it was just like, now when I look back, I'm like, wait a minute, that might have been a little,
Yeah, right.
a little bit much. But at the time, I was like, this is great. This is the best.
With that in mind, when you're 15 years old and you win your second professional contest, I think you get something like $50,000 and then a car on top of it. I mean, what's that moment like for you and your family?
It was just surreal. I just remember the backstory of it is pretty amazing too, because I remember I flew to Japan and I had to pay my way there, and I was paying for the hotel and everything, food, my mom and I. And I remember that a lot of the riders had gone out the night before. So obviously when they show up the day of the competition, maybe I think they had a bit of a little hangover and their heads are hurting, and nobody liked the jump. Nobody was really riding that well. And I'm 15 or so. Yeah, I'm 15, and I'm standing there, and everybody wanted to split the prize money. And I'm like, man, that doesn't even cover the cost of me getting here. I want to compete. I liked the jump at the time, and I ended up holding out when everybody wanted to split the money, and I held out and I won. And so I'm standing there with and they give it to you in cash, and I'm just standing there like, what am I doing with all this? Is out of a crazy movie. And all I remember is that I saw Happy Gilmore, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world that they gave me a giant check. I could care less about the stacks of money. I was just like, I got the big check.